disrupted.
America that I thought weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. It's been a fantastic day so far. So this is an interesting story to bring up. This guy says former U.S. diplomat in China, U.S. must limit China's growth, even if pushing them back to poverty. And this is, of course, going in the rhetoric of basically doing warfare with China, which I always thought was just insanely counterintuitive in the fact that even if China is this big economic threat, even if what you say about the Communist Party of China, no matter how you paint the picture of China, the fact that almost all of our manufactured goods, whether it's, the plastics, toys that your kids are playing, the shirts that you're wearing, the TVs that you're watching this on, whatever manufactured good that comes from China, and they want to jeopardize that, the formation of an economic boom that basically the United States did to themselves because they sent every company and invested into building up in China so that manufactured goods could be made cheaply there. And they had an economic boom. We worsen. And now they want to go to warfare because they're having an economic boom. And it just seems so counterintuitive that you're going to go to war with a country that's making all of our product. It just did not make any sense to me. But here, a U.S. diplomat is going to explain this to you.
States must make sure that we do not have a peer competitor for our security. Think about what this means. This is a brutalist philosophy. The proposition is that even if China were to change in some of the ways that proponents of engagement have been said that we hope it changes, even if they just as a thought experiment adapted our Constitution and our laws wholesale, we should still try to limit their growth merely because we shouldn't have a peer competitor. That is the proposition, regardless of beliefs, regardless of people striving for human flourishing along the lines that we have been prescribing to the world for decades. If they actually appear to be succeeding, regardless of their beliefs, we must stop them, even if it means pushing them back toward poverty.
Robert,
Have I misunderstood the proposition?
I don't mean this question cynically or sarcastically, but what's wrong with that?
That's one way to put it at the end. I don't mean to be a cynic or sound sarcastically, but guess my bloated ass. Like, I don't want to be offensive here and point this out, but, suck my dick with a curly straw. Wow, that really just puts it out there, I just don't care. I really don't care. If they go into poverty, screw them. And that kind of paints the vivid picture of what all this warfare is about. That even if regardless, say China does adopt Western values, let's say, for instance, they become more LGBTQ and adopt the Constitution as they said in the video, and regardless of cultural differences, even if they become more of a Western front, the whole purpose of them going to war and battling it out is the fact that they don't want this country to be prosperous. Hence, they need to keep them impoverished. They need to keep them in poverty so that they can't flourish and diminish or challenge the structure of the U.S. empire, which says a lot about a lot of countries, basically. Like, for example, the Cold War, after the Cold War, that's what they pretty much did to Russia at the time of it. That Russia was willing to accept more Western culturalism and Western relations and laws into impact. They wanted to kind of formate into the West. But the United States wanted to keep them in poverty because they knew that Russia was going to be a competitor of theirs at one point. And it says a lot about a lot of different countries that, for example, like Africa. You look at the African continent, all these countries that you think of third world nations and how devastating it is. Well, a lot of the reason why these countries are so devastated and in poverty is the fact that the United States and the global empire has kept them impoverished because they are rich. These are very rich nations that have a lot of economic stability when it comes to natural resources. You look at all the different places in Africa, they have oil reserves, they have natural gas, they have diamonds and minerals and other plantations that would boost their economy in all these different nations if they were prosperous enough. But the United States and global empires and conglomerate corporations keep them downgraded and extract their resources and don't actually flourish those nations because, again, they don't want competitors to compete against the U.S. empire. So that kind of goes with all of this. That kind of goes with all the wars that have been going on. All the, the past 20 years and further on, I would say probably the last 50 years, all these wars have been about economics. It's a business war. There's no deed to help people. There's no deed for humanity. There's no obligation for any defense whatsoever. All it is there to boost the business plausibility of of warfare, of continuous warfare. So they are not going to care if, say, Iran or even, these Middle Eastern countries that people have said like, oh, they're just crazy and they hate America and they hate American freedom and values and stuff like that. Even if they do adopt American values, a more Western stance, culture and politics, it doesn't matter to them. The point is they want to keep these people on ground. They want to keep these people down in poverty so they can have a stranglehold on their economic system and not be a competitor, not prosperous as a competitor to challenge the United States. And that's the big thing with China. That's the big thing with Russia. That's the big thing. And now, right now, we're seeing the exact opposite is happening. Now we're seeing the formation of BRICS, an economic powerhouse of China, Russia, Brazil, other countries and continents that are gathering together to challenge the U.S. empire. And it's doing catastrophic damage to the West. So all this belief of we're going to stop these countries from competing with our miraculous empire, it's now shooting us in the foot. We're now getting the blowback because now BRICS is now challenging that, and it's diminishing our ability and our stances of Western hegemony around the other nations. So that's pretty impactful that this is coming from a US diplomat. This is not Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro just talking of his ass of anti-Chinaism. This is actually a diplomat explaining to you that we don't care. We don't care about the people. Even if they do adapt, we don't care about their culture. We don't care about any of it. We just want to make sure that China stays in place. They keep in poverty. We don't want them to flourish economically. We don't want, other countries to prosperous on their own. We want to make sure we have stranglehold on these nations so that the United States, the imperial empire, gains harness control over the economic system of not just other nations, but around the entire globe. And it is crumbling within. And the fact that BRICS is happening alongside the petrodollar, they didn't renew, so now that's going to go away and going to cause more havoc for the Western hegemony and empire. It's a downward spiral for us here in the West, but it's actually looking more prosperous for the nations that we supposedly call evil.